Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I am finally getting back into having some Wednesday videos. You may have noticed that I put those off for a little while. I was getting some other stuff done project-wise, but I decided that I want to reincorporate them and have them as these shorter, fun little art videos, or they can be little nuggets of information, or like today where it's going to be a quick little challenge. So today I decided to finally do the 3 color challenge. So it's pretty much 3 marker challenge except for in watercolor version. So at the very beginning you can see where I have all of the tubes of paint and we just chose those completely blind. It was 100% random, but the 3 that we did end up choosing, and I say we because my husband helped pick those. I covered his eyes and he picked them out, but we got Nickel Azo Yellow, Quinacridone Rust, and Quinacridone Violet. So these actually went really well together, surprisingly. They're very harmonious. And it was nice because the Quinacridone Violet is just a little bit cool. It's actually still pretty warm, but it still has that hint of coolness to it, so it still really blends well with the others. And because it has that hint of purple, it also makes a really nice contrast to the yellow, so I was really happy with the selection that I had here. It's actually polar opposite of what I had in my mind if I was going to choose colors for this piece. Initially, I would have thought of doing really almost like beetle-like, or really dark details with almost an iridescent greens and purples and blues. And in the end, I probably would have preferred that color palette, but it's fun to be pushed outside of what I normally would think. And you'll notice at the beginning, since I already had it inked, I actually did it just with black ink, but normally I've been doing all of my micron pen traditional inking with colors, and it was fun to be able to ink with black when I was doing the inking, but once it came to painting, I realized how much I really love having colors that could blend in with the paint and create much more of a harmonious look to it. So it's not something that I'm ready to quit anytime soon, but that was a good excuse to bust out some of my black microns again. And I will definitely say working with the 3 color challenge in watercolors is significantly easier than it is with markers. When you're using watercolors, you can lighten it up pretty much to non-existence. You can really control quite a bit the value of the color that you're using and the saturation, and it definitely makes it easier to get a look that you might want, especially when it comes to blending colors and layering them. It's a lot easier to accomplish your final goal. When I was painting her hair, that was probably one of the places that I had the most fun with, just really getting in there and layering all the different colors, because in the end they all ended up appearing in her hair with different purposes. So the base layer is with that yellow color, and as I went along I added a little bit more of what was a really orange color, and I would mix it a little bit with the yellow, and eventually it was just the orange, and that made a really great shadow. And then when I actually mixed the orange color with the violet color, it turned into a really nice rusty red. Rather than being too on one side or the other, it made a great shadow to finish off the hair with. And that's what I found that I enjoy when I'm using a really limited palette like this, is that I can use all 3 colors in pretty much every area on the painting, but they all have different roles and different levels of how they're used. So ultimately it creates a really harmonious look to it, while still having things being able to be very distinct, where her hair is still very yellow. That's the most yellow color, but other areas where I've used predominantly yellow, I can have so that it's a little bit more desaturated. Like eventually when I get to her clothes, it's a little bit more of a peachy yellow to it. So I just have a lot of fun using such a limited color palette, because it is like puzzle pieces where you're figuring out exactly how to mix them together and in what order and how much, and it all comes together into something that's really fun, and it takes a lot of pressure off when you're using a lot of colors. It can be really daunting to figure out how to really mix them together in the best way possible. So when it's this, it's really stress-free and enjoyable just to paint. That's actually why I pulled out I have a little ceramic paint mixing dish, and I used that for this entirely, so I didn't have any other distractions of other colors getting in the way. I just put a little bit of the colors that I was using today in that and worked entirely off of that. And when it came to her skin, it was a completely different formula using the exact same colors. I started off with Quinacridone Violet to get the shadows and the basic layout of where the planes of her face were going to be. And then I began adding just a hint of that orange to the quinacridone rose before I painted it on there, so that it was more of a rosy color, but still mostly that quinacridone violet coming through. And then eventually I got to a point where it was a mixture of mostly the quinacridone rust with a little bit of that yellow color, and I did a really, really light glaze over the entirety of her skin, and that helped bring her back into cohesion with the rest of the painting, because she was surprisingly very cool compared to everything else, and that just gave her a little bit more of a realistic skin tone, and it brought it back to bringing all the colors together. And I like that effect. I love when I can do one wash, even if it's a really light one, and it just clicks everything together. And that is pretty much it for today. If you'd like to own this original painting, I have a link down in the description that'll take you over to my art shop where that is. And I also have a link to my Patreon where you can get some extra exclusive little art goodies, as well as see the sketches that went behind this painting. And I do have one final little shout out for my little brother's channel called SALAPANDA, where he does gaming and general shenanigans. I love watching him over there, but if you're interested in that, I do have a link in my end card that'll take you to one of his videos, as well as a link down in the description that'll take you to his channel. But that is it for today. I will be back on Saturday with another video, so stay tuned for that, and thank you for watching.